There is a length of ordinary cotton string running across my kitchen right now. Corner to corner, about 9 feet of it, tied off on 2 nails my father drove into the window casings before I was born. Hanging from that string are 41 apple rings. They have been there since Tuesday. By Saturday they will be leather. By Sunday they will be in a jar on a shelf, and they will still be good to eat in August of next year. That string cost me $1.10. It has no cord. It has no motor. It does not hum in the night. Nothing on this earth can shut it off. And here is the part that will sound backwards to you. Right now, in the middle of January, with the wind coming off this ridge at 20 degrees and the snow drifted against my north wall, this is the best food-drying weather of the entire year. Better than August. Better than a machine. Better than anything you can buy. I know that sounds wrong. Everybody knows you dry food in the summer sun. I am going to show you why everybody is wrong about that, and why the driest air your house will see all year is the air in your kitchen tonight. My name is Jeb Whitaker, 7th generation on this mountain. My people have held this stretch of ridge since the 1790s, and I have not lived off it a day in my life. I am going to give you 5 pieces: the air, the cut, the string, the finish, and the 5th one, which is the one that ruins more dried food than the other 4 put together, and which almost nobody teaches anymore because it happens a week after everybody has stopped paying attention. By the time we are done, you will be able to put up a bushel of apples, a mess of beans, or a crate of squash, with nothing but a knife, a string, and the cold air that is already sitting outside your door. And then I will tell you the honest story of how a skill this cheap got pushed out of American kitchens in about 30 years. Not by a villain, by something plainer than that, and in some ways worse. Stay with me. Let me start with the thing everybody has backwards, because if you do not have this piece, nothing else will work. You think cold air is wet air? It is not. Cold air is the driest air there is. Here is what is actually happening. Air holds water, but how much it can hold depends almost entirely on how warm it is. Warm air holds a great deal. Cold air holds almost none. That is not a saying, that is measurable. And it is the whole video. So take a lungful of January air from outside. Say it is 20 degrees out there, and the weatherman tells you the humidity is 80%. Sounds wet. It is not. 80% of almost nothing is still almost nothing. There is barely any water in that air at all. Now bring that same air inside and warm it up to 70 degrees in your kitchen. You have not added 1 drop of water to it. But now that air can hold 5 or 6 times what it is carrying. So it goes looking for water. It pulls it out of your houseplants. It pulls it out of the wood of your furniture. It cracks your knuckles and dries your throat and gives you a bloody nose in February. Everybody in this country complains about that. They go out and buy a machine to put the water back. I am telling you that is the most valuable thing your house does all winter, and you have been paying to undo it. That thirsty winter air is exactly what pulls the water out of an apple ring. Your heated kitchen in January is a drying room. It has been one the whole time. You just did not know what you had. Now compare that to August. August air outside is warm and already loaded with water. It cannot take much more. That is why laundry hangs limp on the line on a humid summer day, and why food left to dry in muggy weather goes to mold before it goes to leather. Summer sun drying works fine in Arizona. On this ridge in July, it will rot on you. That is why my wife has always done her drying in the cold months, and her mother before her, and back and back. Not because they had a theory about vapor pressure, because they watched what worked and they kept doing that. So, piece 1 is the air, and here is what you actually do about it. You want the driest, warmest, most moving air in your house. That is almost always the kitchen, and usually up high, because warm air rises. A string across a window casing, a rack above the wood stove but not close enough to cook anything, the top of a door frame, over a radiator, a foot or so above it. Moving air matters as much as dry air. Still air right next to a wet apple ring gets saturated and then stops working. It just sits there, damp. That is where mold starts. You do not need a fan. You need the food not packed tight. Space every piece so nothing touches its neighbor. Air has to get all the way around it. Failure mode. The man who hangs his rings shoulder to shoulder on the string to fit more on. Every place 2 rings touch stays wet. He comes back in 3 days to a string of good fruit with a green spot at every contact point, and he throws the whole run out. Do this today. Hold your hand a foot above your radiator or your stove. If you feel air moving up past your fingers, you have found your drying spot. That is the whole test. Free. That is the air. Now the cut, and this is where 9 out of 10 first attempts fail. Piece 2. Thickness. Everything you dry, you are fighting one thing: how far the water has to travel to get out. Water in the middle of a thick slice has to work its way through everything around it before it can leave. If the outside dries and hardens first, the water in the middle gets sealed in. That is called case hardening, and it is the single most common failure there is. The piece feels dry. It looks dry. You put it in a jar, and 3 weeks later, there is mold blooming from the inside out because there was still water in the middle the whole time. The rule is thin and even. Thin matters. Even matters more. Apples. 1/4-inch rings. Core them. Do not peel them. The skin holds the ring together, and there is no reason to throw it away. Potatoes. 1/8 of an inch. And they get a quick dunk in boiling water first. About 2 minutes. Then cold. That stops them going gray and slimy on you. Squash and pumpkin. 1/2-inch rings. Seeds out. Skin on for the drying and off when you cook them. Green beans. Whole, not cut. This is the old way on this ridge. You run a needle and thread straight through the middle of each pod and string them up like beads. Around here that is called shuck beans or leather breeches, and there are families in these mountains who have not let a winter pass without them in 200 years. Herbs, not cut at all. Whole stems tied in small bundles, hung upside down. Failure mode, the thick slice at the end of the apple. You are moving along, you get careless on the last few, and you leave 2 rings twice as thick as the rest. Those 2 are still wet when everything else is finished. You jar the whole lot together. Those 2 rings spoil the jar. Even beats thin. If you can only get one right, get them all the same. Do this today. Slice 1 apple. Lay the rings out in a row and look down the line. If you can see thick ones and thin ones, slow down. 5 minutes of care here saves the whole run. Piece 3. The string. There is a reason it is a string and not a tray, and it is not tradition for its own sake. A tray touches the food. Every place the food touches the tray is a place air does not reach, and it stays damp. You have to turn everything, and if you forget, you get a wet spot. A string touches almost nothing. One small point of contact at the core hole, and every other surface is open to the air on all sides. The food dries evenly from every direction at once, and you never have to turn a thing. Cotton string, not synthetic. Cotton breathes, and it will not sweat against the fruit. A big darning needle if you are stringing beans. For apple rings, you do not even need the needle. The core hole is already there. Just thread them on. Hang the string where the air moves and where nothing will knock into it. Not over the stove where grease will get on it. Not in a doorway where somebody walks through it twice a day. Put a clean cloth or a tray underneath. Things fall. Better to catch them than to find one under the icebox in March. If you have got a cat, hang it higher than you think you need to. I will say no more about that. Failure mode. The string with too much sag. A loaded string bellies down in the middle and every ring slides to the low point and packs together tight. Pull it drum tight when you tie it off and check it again once it is loaded. Do this today. Run 1 string. 9 feet of cotton, 2 nails, 1 apple. See how it goes before you commit a bushel to it. Piece 4. Knowing when it is finished. This is not a clock question. Anybody who tells you a number of hours is guessing because it depends on your air, your slices, and your house. It is a feel question, and there are 3 tests. Learn all 3. The bend test. Take a piece off the string and fold it in half. Properly dried fruit bends like a piece of soft leather and does not break. If it snaps like a cracker, you have gone too far. That is not ruined, but it is past where you want it. The tear test. Tear a piece across the middle and look at the torn edge. If you can see any moisture in there, any dampness at all, any shine, it is not done. A finished piece is the same all the way through, dull and even. The squeeze test. This is the one for beans and vegetables. Take a small handful and squeeze hard, then open your hand. Finished pieces spring apart and rattle. If they clump together and hold the shape of your fist, there is water still in there. And here is the honest word about being impatient. Nobody in the history of this country has ever ruined a batch by letting it hang one day too long. Plenty have ruined a batch by taking it down one day too early. When you are unsure, leave it hanging. The string costs you nothing. Failure mode, judging by the outside. A ring can feel perfectly dry between your fingers and still be wet in the core. That is why the tear test exists. Never trust the surface. Tear one open. Do this today. Nothing to do until your string is loaded. But learn the 3 tests now and you will not need to guess later. Piece 5. And this is the one. Everything so far happened while you were watching. This last piece happens a week after you have stopped paying attention, and it ruins more dried food than the other 4 put together. You take everything off the string. It all passed the tests. You pack it into jars, screw the lids down tight, put them on the shelf, and feel good about yourself. 10 days later, there is fog on the inside of the glass. 2 weeks after that, there is mold, and you cannot understand it, because you tested every piece. Here is what happened. Not every piece finished at exactly the same moment. 1 or 2 came off with a little more water in them than the rest. In a sealed jar, that water comes out of the wet pieces and goes into the dry ones, and it finds the coolest surface in the jar, which is the glass. It condenses there. And now you have got a damp spot in a sealed container full of food, and mold does the rest. The fix takes 1 week of doing nearly nothing, and it is called conditioning. You pack your dried food loosely into jars, loosely, not jammed, and you put the lids on but you do not seal them down hard. Then, once a day for 7 days, you pick up each jar and shake it. That is it. Shake it and set it back down. What that does is let the moisture even itself out between the pieces instead of pooling on one cold surface. 2 days in, everything in the jar is at the same dryness. And every single day when you shake it, you look at the glass. If you see any fog, any beading, any moisture on the inside of that glass at all, the whole jar goes back on the string. Not part of it. The whole jar. Give it another day or 2 in the air and start the week over. No fog after 7 days? Now you seal it down tight. Now it will keep them out of the light. Light fades dried fruit and takes the taste out of it. A cupboard, a closet, a cellar shelf, anywhere dark. A dark cupboard and a tight lid will hold that fruit past next summer. Failure mode, the tight lid on day 1. The proudest man in the county, jars all sealed and lined up on the shelf the same evening he took the string down. He will not open one until March, and by then it is gone, and he will tell everybody that drying does not work. It works. He just skipped the week that nobody told him about. Do this today. If you have got dried food in a sealed jar right now, from a store or your own, go look at the glass. If there is fog on the inside of it, you have just learned something worth knowing. That is the 5 pieces: the air, the cut, the string, the finish, and the conditioning. Now let me tell you what it is worth, and then how it got away from us. A chest freezer runs $100 a year, give or take, and it does it every year, forever. It fails in an outage. It fails when the compressor goes. Everything in it depends on a wire staying live. Canning is honest work, and I am not against it, but count what it costs you. Jars, rings, and lids you replace every single time, because a used lid is not to be trusted twice. A canner. Fuel to keep a heavy pot boiling for an hour or more. And then those jars are heavy, they break, and they take a wall of shelf to hold a winter. Drying costs $1 of string and the air that is already in your house. A bushel of apples dries down to about 3 pounds. 3 pounds. It goes in one jar on one shelf, no cold, no cord, no fuel, no lid to buy again next year. And it keeps a year. That is not a small difference. That is a whole different way of holding a winter. So why does nobody do it? I owe you the honest answer here, and it is not a boardroom. The home freezer came into American kitchens after the war, and it went through this country like weather. It was genuinely better in the ways people cared about. The food came back out tasting like it went in, it took no skill, and it took no attention. In about 30 years, one generation, drying went from a thing every household did to a thing almost nobody did. Canning stayed, because canning had an industry behind it. Somebody sells you jars. Somebody sells you lids every year. Somebody sells you a canner and a book and a class at the extension office. There was money in canning, so canning kept getting taught. Nobody has ever gotten rich selling string. That is the whole of it, friend. Drying did not lose because it was worse. It lost because it had nothing to sell and nobody to speak for it. Every other method in that kitchen had a trade behind it, keeping it alive in the manuals and the classes and the store aisles. Drying had a woman with a needle and thread and no reason to advertise. When she was gone, it went with her. Now let me handle the two things you are thinking. First one, is it safe? For fruit and vegetables, dried properly and conditioned properly, yes, this is one of the oldest and safest ways there is. Water is what lets mold and bacteria live. Take the water out, and there is nothing for them to work with. Meat is a different animal, and I will tell you flat, rather than let you find out the hard way. Cold air alone is not enough for meat. Meat wants salt or heat or both, and it wants a person who knows what they are doing standing over it. Do not learn on meat, learn on apples. When you have a few winters of fruit and beans behind you, then go find somebody who has cured meat their whole life and learn it from their hands, not from me talking on a screen. Second one, does it taste like anything? Different, not worse. A dried apple ring is sweeter than a fresh one, because you took the water out and left everything else where it was. Shuck beans do not taste like green beans out of a jar. They taste like something else entirely, and there are people in these mountains who will tell you they are the best thing on the table at Christmas. For cooking, you soak. Cover with warm water, leave it an hour or two, and it comes back most of the way to what it was. Vegetables go straight into a soup without soaking at all. They will take what they need out of the broth. I want to leave you with this. My wife has hung a string across that kitchen every winter for the better part of 50 years. She never called it preserving. She never called it a skill. She called it what you do with apples. That is what all of this was. Not a technique somebody had to teach you out of a book. Just what you did, the way you sweep a floor. And it went out of American houses so quietly that most of you have never once seen it done. Not because it was hard, because it was free, and free things have nobody to speak for them. So here is what I want from you this weekend. It is small. Buy 1 bag of apples, cut 1 string, 9 feet of cotton and 2 nails in the warmest, driest, movingest air in your house. Slice them 1/4 inch, thread them on, and walk away. Come back Saturday and do the bend test. Then tell me down below what happened. What state are you in? How cold has it been? And did they come off leather or did they come off crisp? That is the one I want to hear about. Next time I am going to show you what my father kept in a wooden box under the north eave of this house, which held a year's worth of seed alive through winters that killed everything else on this ridge. It is 4 things in a particular order, and if you get the order wrong, none of it works. That box is the reason this family never once had to buy seed in the spring. Until then, keep the old ways. They kept us.